G'day YouTube and welcome back to another video. My name is Grunly and in today's video we will be looking at what are some potential vehicles that could be added into Call of the Wild. A disclaimer though, this is a concept video and none of these have actually been confirmed by anyone that works at EW. Anyway, all you need to do right now though is to sit back, relax and enjoy. The first vehicle that I could definitely see being added into Call of the Wild is the dirt bike. In the real world, dirt bikes make great tools in hunting and allow hunters to pack quite a bit, and it makes hauling of meat a lot easier than lugging it around by hand and walking. Hunters also use dirt bikes to cover large amounts of ground very quickly, which allows them to scout areas faster and to get to their hunting area. The dirt bike would be a great alternative to the current ATV in the game, whilst having slight differences that would appeal to some hunters. Much like the ATV, the dirt bike would be extremely loud when being used, but it is very fast, allowing you to get around the map as fast as possible. Something that would separate the dirt bike from the ATV would be that it is a much thinner vehicle, so it would allow you to get through more off-road obstacles that little bit easier. This could be counterbalanced by adding a feature to the ATV that would allow you to store some items on the back of it. I can definitely see a lot of you hunters out there wanting to have some extra portable storage, and this would allow you to set up your reserve that much faster. Obviously, the equipment I'm talking about are things like tents, tree stands, ground blinds, and tripod stands that we all use to make our hunting experience more enjoyable. I see potential for a dirt bike in Call of the Wild, as it is a way that is different to what we are usually familiar with for getting around the map, with some differences that can keep the game fresh for those with hundreds of hours. A vehicle that we have already seen in the game is the car, which was actually a part of a mission within Rancho del Arroyo. If there were cars added into the game, I'd love to see them have a stand of some sort attached to the car. This would make sure that the car would be different enough from the current ATV to appeal to all sorts of players. Hunters all the time in real life are using cars to get to their destination, but by having a stand either attached by a trailer or built into the tray would allow hunters in Call of the Wild a different way to create hunting opportunities on their reserves. A downside to this vehicle, however, would be that its off-road capability would not be able to compete with the ATV, so for the most part you would have to stick to the roads. Unlike the current ATV, it would make plenty of sense to have storage within the car and allow hunters to move items from storage lockers into their car to allow players an opportunity to bring more equipment out onto the field. I think this goes without saying, but I can easily imagine that the car would be a very loud vehicle, which would cause it to spook most animals even before you spot them. This could also be really fun in multiplayer, as you could have your buddy sitting on the stand whilst you drive around open maps like Vahunga or the Plains and Silver Ridge Peaks with your mate taking out animals while being on top of the car. This would actually be pretty cool, as currently there's no real cooperative hunting within Call of the Wild, so this would be a really good way to add that feature. A vehicle that would be a quieter form of transportation in comparison to the ATV would be a bicycle. It goes without saying, but your average mountain bike in real life creates a lot less noise than a motorized all-terrain vehicle. In-game, this would heavily benefit hunters, as they are less likely to spook animals in hunting areas that they wish to explore. Obviously though, you are traveling at a slower pace if you choose to utilize a bicycle to traverse reserves. I think that a bicycle in Call of the Wild would have a standard speed, or by pressing the sprint button, players would activate a faster speed that would both increase the speed you are traveling, but also increase the noise and decrease the handling of the bike. I can definitely see myself using this in game, as it gives me a chance to get around the map quicker without having to worry about spooking every animal that is in huntable distance. Unlike other vehicles on this list though, there would be no storage on the bike, as you can't really fit much within a little basket in the front of a bike. With the addition of a bicycle, it would definitely be a missed opportunity as well not to include a bell on the bike purely for entertainment purposes. A mountain bike in real life is also designed to go off-road, which would allow the bike in Call of the Wild to have decent off-road capability also. Now, I know that not every player would want to use a bike in Call of the Wild, but I know that there is a space within the game for this vehicle. One vehicle that I know we have all been asking for is the boat. For boats, I would say that there could be 3 different types of boats within Call of the Wild. Each of these boats would have their own pros and own cons for different situations, which would make them a great choice for those hunters who are looking for something to spice up their style of hunting. The first boat that would be a good fit in Call of the Wild would be your generic aluminium motorized boat, or as we say in Australia, a good old-fashioned tinny. These kinds of boats would allow you to speed down any river or across lakes in our reserves, whilst giving you the room to store your belongings and equipment. A huge downside to these motorized boats, however, is that they still produce a whole lot of noise, so you wouldn't really expect to see many animals when you're using this boat. It is, however, a great way to explore waterways very quickly, and therefore makes it a great option when traveling around reserves, especially when you're looking at Mississippi. The second boat that I think would be a great addition into Call of the Wild is either the kayak or the canoe. These man-powered boats are a great way in which you are able to get around the waters within reserves without making too much noise. This would ensure that you don't spook too many animals, allowing you to continue hunting while you travel. Something that you should expect though is that you will travel quite slowly in comparison to a motorized boat. And much like real life, there should be a form of storage in the canoe or the kayak as well, which would help you bring tents or other forms of equipment onto your hunt. The third and final boat that I would love in Call of the Wild would be the hovercraft. After seeing the Mississippi map, I know that this would definitely fit the aesthetic of the map. And I know that hunting alligators on this reserve is pretty difficult unless you're in an elevated position, which would be pretty easy on a hovercraft where you would be sitting up high. These boats are actually amphibious as well, which means that you could ride along some of the banks or even further onto land. Of everything that you're seeing in this video, I definitely want to have boats added into the game because I often find myself stuck on one side of the river or a lake and having to run the whole way around just to get to the other side. A boat would mean that I can cross straight through the middle. Fingers crossed, something like this will be added in the future. Now, although this final edition actually isn't a vehicle, I still want to see it added into the game. What I am talking about would have to be drones. Like in real life, I would love to see drones being used for scouting and photography purposes. It would allow hunters to explore hunting opportunities without having to walk in and make a whole lot of noise in an area before checking it out. These drones should definitely allow you to spot animals and take photographs, which would give us a bird's eye view of our favorite locations and animals. These drones would not only be expensive, but you would also need to buy batteries to keep using them. In the shop, there would be different types of drones that could range from low battery life and range and progress from there into high quality drones that charge to solar panel, have infrared, and even return to the player without having to control them. These drones would also be affected by weather, and a windy day would factor into how hard they are to control, and lower quality drones wouldn't even work in the rain. These drones and other vehicles that I've spoken about in this video would be a great additions into the game, and I hope to at least see some of them in the future. Well, that's all from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I ask for you to consider liking, commenting, and subscribing as it really helps me out. Other than that, I will see you in the next video. Bye!